Is Imaginur really as good as what people claim it to be? Let me tell you something. Hey everyone, I'm Sidhart Joe Dev, your movie buddy, and today I'm going to be talking about Imaginur. Imaginur is a Malay language Malaysian film produced by Lumatic Films, directed by Nik Amin Mustafa, who has previously done films like Rais Ini Kalila and Terbang dari Langit. Now, Imaginur tells the story of a guy named Zuhal, played by Beto Kushairi, and Noor, the lady who weirdly appears in his dream, played by Daniel. Now, between having an unresolved relationship and also having this frequent dream about a girl that he doesn't know, Zuhal was somehow motivated to fix his issues by meeting a weird and funny hypnotist, Dr. Ramli. And when Zuhal begins his hypnosis process, that's where the whole film starts, or restarts. And that's pretty much all I'm going to say without spoiling this film for you. Now, what's interesting about Imaginur is that you can't really say what is the genre of the film. It starts off like a regular family drama, and then suddenly it shifts into a psychological film. And then when you're trying to make sense of anything that's happening on the screen, suddenly it shifts into becoming a romantic film, with moments that makes you go, "Aw," and stuff. And then from there, it'll go back to a family drama again. The shift of genre here is drastic because with every genre, the dialogue, the delivery, the pacing of the film, and also the way the issue arises, everything changes drastically. So you will realize at one point of the film progresses too quickly, too fast, and then it slows down. And then it confuses you, and then it'll go back to progressing too fast, and then it'll slow down again, and then it'll confuses you again. And this keeps happening until the very last scene of the film, which is genius. While watching Imaginur, I was reminded of films like Happy Death Day, an American black comedy about the lead character stuck in a loop reliving the same day over and over until she figures out who murdered her. Or Barbar Deko, the lead who's stuck in a loop to rectify some of the mistake he had made in the past, and even a slight hint of everything everywhere all at once. While you're clearly reminded of these films, Imaginur doesn't aspire to be any of those. It's very original in its own way. It's very Malaysian in its own way. Dialogues like "Kita kena cepat, aku double park," or scenes like getting summoned for illegal parking reminds you that, hey, this is our film. But as much as they try to be Malaysian, is it Malaysian enough? See, the cast of the film, including the background actors, everybody is of one race and religion. The taxi driver, the security officer, the guy who sells the burger, the people who buys the burger, everybody is of same race and religion. Sort of, you can tell. So is it really what Malaysia looks like? But that's not the story they're trying to tell, so moving on. Now, the dialogues of the films are well written, cringy at some point, but mostly great. Dialogues like, "I tulis," I write. You're like, oh, that's the same thing. And also some dialogues like, "Coffee, suka makan anak ke?" You're like, But hold on. The same film slaps you left, right, center with some heartwarming dialogues. Especially this is one scene between Zuhal and his father, played by Mir Hashim. Such a delight to watch. Imaginur also tells the story of someone who suffers from panic attack and mental pressure without depicting them like a maniac, which in most films they do. Through Zuhal's vision, we truly understand that whatever he's going through is perfectly explainable, but he suffers to do that. But Zuhal and us witnessing everything from his point of view totally understand that everything has a perfect explanation, but it's very difficult for them to convey it. So if you're not in their shoes, it's really difficult for you to explain what they go through, much like what people with mental health issues go through. A plus for writing. Honestly, I can think of 100 ways of how this film would have gone wrong with sloppy writing or bad direction, but all credit goes to Nik Ame for actually having a great vision and translating it well on screen. Now, the actors. Beto Kushairi is one of the finest actors we have in the industry, but I always feel like the man is so underrated. But with this film, he's like, I'm here to stay. Career best performance. He pretty much acted confused in like 70% of the scenes. He's like, most of the times, and he nails it. The scenes of him having panic attacks and throwing up, which I think happened twice in the film, makes me go, wow, that's acting. And Diana Daniel isn't any lesser. Honestly, in the first half, I felt like she wasn't given much to work with. She looks pretty, she looks at you prettily, and she says all this pretty stuff, makes her look like, girl next door and whatever. But it is in the second half of the film, you really see she stepping up. She regrets, she resents, she begs, she argues, and it all works. Now, both together, powerhouse performance. The best acting of these two actors doesn't happen in the loudest scene when they're shouting or screaming or fighting or crying. It happens in the quietest scene. For example, when Zuhal looks at his father in despair while showering him, when Noor and Zuhal looking at each other while Noor removes his head bandage, hoping that things would work out, or the scene where Zuhal will ask for her number and Noor will take a picture with him instead. Brilliant acting. And to support this stellar performance, we have Dato Afrin Shauki, Nadia Nisa, Mir Hashim, Fatima Abubakar, and Dato Rahim Razali, who deliver such strong, unforgettable performances with limited screen time. This is one particular scene that happens between Dato Rahim Razali and Fatima Abubakar, where he says just one word, and that's enough to make you cry in the film. Cinematographer Itham Mat Dane did a great job at capturing everything well and making it believable. But since Imaginur is largely a story-driven film, you don't really see yourself fussing much about the cinematography of the film. However, the handling of the camera though makes me dizzy and want to puke at times. But this could also be intentional because you see, we are looking at this world from Zuhal's point of view, and Zuhal himself is always not in control. He's always throwing up, he's dizzy, and he's having panic attack and stuff. So when we are looking at this world from his point of view, maybe this is how he sees it. I don't know if this was intentional, but smart move. The one thing that really annoyed me in this film is that there are so many unanswered questions in the film. There are questions that the characters ask that goes unanswered. There are questions that you ask while you're watching the film, like, what, where, when? That goes unanswered. But then later, this became the biggest triumph of the film. The beauty of Imaginur truly lies in the unanswered questions. So much so that the film literally ends with a question which goes unanswered, and then the credit starts rolling in. Brilliant. So on the scale of 1 to 10, Imaginur is, if you don't watch this movie in theatre, do not complain that Malaysians don't produce good films. See you at the movies. Thank you for watching the video. If you would like to watch more reviews and podcasts and a lot more fun stuff, we are KAYPOH on all platforms. Links are below.